Bienvenidos, maestras y maestros. Welcome all. This webinar is about the FabuLingua Teacher Dashboard. It is the fifth webinar in a series of webinars. The first four really kind of form the background to it all. The first three are about the fundamentals, the three fundamental pillars of the science of second language acquisition, how our brains acquire languages. The first one is about comprehensible input. The second one is about the effective filter, and the third one is about the silent period. And the fourth webinar is about the science of storytelling and why FabuLingua chooses to use stories to deliver ample amounts of comprehensible input whilst keeping the effective filter low and respecting the silent period. Now, if all that sounds a little bit new, not very familiar, I really do recommend you go and see those first four webinars before getting tucked into the Teacher Dashboard. The Teacher Dashboard is built around these four concepts. FabuLingua, the app, is built around these four concepts, and you'll just get much more out of the dashboard if you understand these four concepts better. Doesn't mean you can't use it, but it is really, really helpful. I'm about to do a little intro on myself and how I came to develop the patent behind FabuLingua. If you've already heard this intro because you did the comprehensible input first webinar, please feel free to skip through it and meet me when we get to the dashboard. Learning new languages opens doors in life. And FabuLingua's mission is to give every child the unique advantage of learning a new language effectively. And you teachers are on the front line of making this possible. So the purpose of today's webinar is to equip you with a way more powerful approach than what you may already have in order to make that happen. My name is Leslie Begert. I'm the co-founder and head of learning at FabuLingua. My family is from Venezuela, and I grew up in Spain and the UK. And this early bilingual exposure led to a lifetime of opportunity. I speak English, Spanish, French, and Mandarin Chinese, and I've lived and worked all over the world. My founder journey, though, started when I took my little Texan son from Austin to Caracas to meet my abuelita for her 100th birthday. Unfortunately, my son and my family did not connect like I'd hoped. They couldn't communicate. Like many Latino families in the US, we spoke English at home. So when I came home brokenhearted that this critical door to his roots was shut, I looked for resources to teach him Spanish. But I was super frustrated at the ineffectiveness of existing products. I had studied psychology, linguistics, and anthropology at Oxford and Cambridge. So frustrated, I created a new methodology for teaching languages through children's stories. And it led to natural, subconscious language acquisition. It was a real breakthrough. Such a breakthrough that I was awarded our first patent on the learning technology. Unlike most traditional methods, this method was based on the science of second language acquisition. Both kids were engaged and developed Spanish skills that far exceeded their peers, both in preschool and elementary, and eventually high school, even though we did not speak Spanish at home. The science is really clear about what works. The key to acquiring a second language is comprehensible input. The more of it you're exposed to, the more you acquire. Again, if this sounds unfamiliar or strange to you, please go back to that first webinar about comprehensible input. And now I'm just going to press pause so that we can get to the teacher dashboard. So here we are at the FabuLingua Teacher Dashboard. Now, most of you have already created an account. If for some reason you haven't yet created an account, the way you get to create an account, you go to fabulingua.com, you go to Teachers, and then Free Teacher Dashboard. And that's going to take you to this page. You press Create Account, or you can sign up through Clever. The other note to make is that this webinar is about the FabuLingua Teacher Dashboard. It's not about the FabuLingua app or the learning path that is fundamental to the FabuLingua app. If you don't know about the learning path, you may want to go over here, fabulingua.com, click on Learning Path. It's going to take you to here. Here you can see the learning path. This is what happens when you click any of our stories represented by the characters. It pulls up a learning path, and they have to work their way through it All these things unlock in sequence. The top buttons are the story modes, where you experience the story in a slightly different way. And the bottom ones are the mini games using vocabulary from the story. So if you want to learn more about each mode, you would scroll down here. There's videos, read more for explanations. And then at the bottom here, there's all of that for each one of the games. So you can see what each one is about. Anyway, let's go back to the dashboard. So assuming you know all of that. When you go through your onboarding, you'll have been asked if you wanted to create a class. You may have skipped it, may not have. And then you're going to get to this page here. And this is the Get Started section. There are 3 steps to get started. So we're going to go through them quickly, and then we're going to get to how to use the FabuLingua Teacher Dashboard. The first step is create a class and add students. You may have created that class or not. You may want to create more classes. It's pretty simple. You come down to classes, you click add class, you put the name and then details, and then you would create a class. Now we're going to add students to that class. Here is the new class I had just created. I'm going to click here on students for that class, and I'm going to go over to the right. I'm going to click add students. I'm going to put 1 student per line, no commas, no colons, and then I'm going to click add students. Here I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to go back to the home page. So we have created a class and added students. So here is the class I created earlier, and I had added 3 students, these 3 students. Now we are going to go to step 2, which is select an active story for your class. So we're going to go back to that class, the Starlings, and we're going to go to stories. And I'm going to explain to you the concept of an active story. With the free dashboard in FabuLingua, you are allowed 1 active story at a time per class. So that means your whole class, if you have 20 kids, are going to be experiencing in each one of their profiles the same story at the same time. So you can say, this week we're doing, Mi Familia, and we're all doing it together at the same time. If you did want more personalized learning where you can do different stories for different children, etc., that is the premium dashboard. I will talk about that at the end of this presentation. But for right now, let's talk about how to select an active story. We have this section here that says active stories, and then below it, inactive stories. So as I said, you can only have 1 at a time. So if you want to change your active story, you're going to have to go into this one and press make it inactive. And then you're going to see that the active stories section is empty. And then you're going to go to the inactive section, and you're going to go through this library of stories and select which one you want your kids to do next. How do you make that selection? Well, one of the places I would start with is you can see what location that story is in right here. This one is in location 1, the playful pond, and it's represented by this character. The earlier locations are easier, and as the locations increase in the number, Fabulous Falls gets harder, etc., all the way to location 5. But you may need more information, like, I'm beginners, but how do I choose between this story and this story? Well, what you would do is you would go ahead and double click on it, and it's going to give you a trailer here on the pop-up to give you a little feel for it. It's going to give you an overview of what that story is about, and then more details about the themes and grammar in that story. And then there's also supplementary printable resources. You can go check out the story text either in Espanol or with a magical translation. There's a teacher guide, a free teacher guide with lots of activities for each story. There's vocab list, so and printouts, and that's going to help you make a decision about whether this is the story that you want to run with this week. You can set it as active right here, or you can set it as active over here. But right now, for the sake of argument, let's go and set this one as active. Okay, so we have made our class and we have selected an active story. Now let's go back to the home page and we do step 3, which is download FabuLingua onto your student devices. Now, if you're part of a large school and you have an IT department, ask them to do it. They typically use software like Jamf in order to push it out to all of your devices. If you've got a small class, you can do it yourself. You go to Google Play or to the App Store and just search FabuLingua and download it onto that device. Now, once you are on the device, your students are going to get into it by one of two ways. As you can see here, step 3, you can either use class codes or invite parents. Class codes is what you use when you're using FabuLingua at school. Invite parents is what you use when you want your students to use FabuLingua at home on their home devices. So let's start with class codes, as you can see here. Let's go down to the Starlings class. Where is their class code? It's right there, front and center. So I am going to tap class codes in here, and I am going to type in that number. It is not case sensitive, so your students do not need to worry about that. Okay, I've typed it in, and I confirm, and I'm now being taken to my classroom. Let's double check this with the Starlings class over here. Let's look at the students that I had listed in there. Look, Mark, David, and Kate. And there's 3 students. So Kate is going to select her own profile, and she is now in the FabuLingua app as herself. And do you remember we had selected as the active story Rani Insapi Mi Familia, which is location 1. Have a close look here. All the locations are locked with padlocks except for one. Location 1 is the only place she can go to. So she opens the only place that is available. And within location 1, there are a number of characters that would be willing to tell you their story. However, if they do not have a speech bubble, they're not available. So here you can see this guy. It comes up with a pop-up to say that it's not been assigned by your teacher. So the only story that is available for your class is the one with the speech bubble. So you would go ahead and tap it, and there is the learning path that I spoke about before. You haven't done any, Katie hasn't done any work on it, so there's only one story mode available to her. It's the one, Magical Translations, that delivers the comprehensible input. So she would go into that and start doing her work. What about the other way that you can have your students access? It's through invite parents. So if you want your kids to have access to ample amounts of comprehensible input, you're going to want them to have the opportunity to do that at home, so that they don't just have comprehensible input during the classroom, which might be a limited amount of time for many teachers, but they can also have lots of comprehensible input available at home, and their Spanish acquisition can just skyrocket. So how do you do that? It's pretty simple. You invite parents. So here we are in the Starlings class. You would go to the student section here, click on that, and then you would go to invite parents. Boom. You put in their email address. The parents will receive an email with a link to their child. No one else's child. They can only adopt their child's progress. And then all the work that that child does on the parent at home device, you're going to be able to see, because they're linked. You're going to be able to see that progress in the teacher dashboard, which is pretty cool. So let's just have a quick look at how you might change the active story and how that shows up in the, say, in the student app, right? So let's change this one to inactive, and we are going to change, let's choose a new location. That way you can see that. Let's choose this one, the goat, La Granja del Abuelo, set as active. Now we're going to go back to the iPad view. Do you remember where we were? I'm going to close out of that location. I'm going to go back to the overworld, which is where you need the map icon. And we're going to see that now it's no longer location 1 that is open, it's location 2, because that story about La Granja del Abuelo is in location 2, as you saw here. See? So we're going to go into there. And it's going to, you need to be on Wi-Fi whenever you're opening new locations or new stories. And so this guy does not have a speech bubble. He is not available. If you tap him by mistake, you're going to get a note saying he's not been assigned. So you're going to scroll across there's this character here, not that one, but this guy here, the goat, has a speech bubble. So that means he's available for you, and you tap him, and there comes his learning path, and you would go onto the first one of the learning path. So that is how, as a teacher, you're going to set an active story and then change an active story. You can change the active stories as often as you want to, but your whole class changes in concert at the same time. As I said, if you want to differentiate learning between different students in the class, that is the premium version. So congratulations, that's all it takes to get set up on the FabuLingua dashboard. And your students are then ready to go and learn at school and at home. So now I'm going to go on to all of the goodies of using the dashboard. Okay, so we're going to start off with all the insights that you can get. Let's go into the wizards class and have a look at how you as the teacher would follow progress. These are all of the students in the wizards class. Let's go and look at those stories and how they have done in each story. They have, this is, as I said, this is a premium account, so they can have a number of active stories at a time. This one has Picabel and Rani and Sapi Mi Familia set as active and all the others as inactive. Here I can see that they've done much more progress on Rani and Sapi Mi Familia, that out of the 9 students in this class, that 5 of them have done magical translations, 3 have done copycat, 2 have done Spanish only, and 1 has done the bonus read by myself one. Whereas Picabel, only 1 child of the 9 has done these 2 modes, and so they've made a lot less progress in this one. Now we want to see, well, which children have done it, have had this progress. So at that point, you're going to want to click into the progress box. Okay, so we're going to double click on this progress summary box to pull up this page. And now we can see exactly who has been making the progress. Pat has done magical translations once, copycat once, Spanish only once, or read by myself once. He's been very productive. He's earned 14 gold keys, and you can see how long he's spent there. Louise, Heather, and Gary haven't gone anywhere near it. You may want to have a conversation with them about what's going on. Felipe has made a fair amount of progress. He's done 3 of the modes. Chris has done 1, and Andy has done 2. And here you can see how many gold keys they've earned. Do you remember I mentioned the mini games that are in each story? You can also go and look at how they've done in the mini games. So you come up here, stories, games, you would click on games. And here you get a score of 1 when you have won, W-O-N, a game. So in those games, when you get 6 out of 6 and you win the game, it shows up here on the teacher dashboard as a 1. So Pat may have done the matching game 10 times. He won it. He got 100% correct 4 times. The articles game, he's got it 100% correct once. Scrambled syllable game twice, and the letter scramble game once. Again, Louise, Heather, and Gary haven't done anything. Felipe has really got stuck into the matching game and the scrambled syllable game, hasn't done the articles game, etc. So you can see the nuance, the detail of what each student has got. You can also see averages up here. So that is where you really go into the details of the insights that you can see about the progress they've made for each story. And of course, the idea is that they're trying to master the story. A little note here, I'll say that there are the reading mode and the scrambled letters is the more advanced end, and it helps if you're a reader. It's not necessary, but some kids memorize stuff and they can quote unquote read the story back to you. But those are in yellow in the app so that the kids know they're bonus modes. You don't have to do them. So if you've got a bunch of really young kids, maybe you stop before getting to the bonus mode. Now, other goodies, the learn more section. So you've done steps 1, 2, and 3, and you maybe now want to learn a little bit more. You can either press here, learn more, or go to professional development. They take you to the same place, right? This is the part of the app where you can really get stuck into learning much more. So one of the things you're going to want to do is get familiar with the student experience. Like, how are the students experiencing this? It really helps for that understanding. Then you're going to want to follow your students' progress a little bit more about what I've just been talking about. And then remember, I learned that, commented about that learning path. This is a deeper dive into the learning path with a video that shows you in real time exactly what all the elements are, and then a little bit about the gaming side of it. So here you can go to a place that gives you PD credits for watching these webinars, as well as other goodies. And of course, we have our blogs that we selected the few that are really relevant to the science of second language acquisition that forms the backbone of FabuLingua. And so in your own time, you may want to read these blogs as well. And of course, the one on gamification and why that helps. Now, I wanted to go into the next goodie, which is resources. So you saw a little bit of the resources that were available for the free teacher dashboard when you click into stories, and then you would double click there. These are the free teacher dashboard resources. So I just wanted to start off by saying, before we go into the resources page, that most of the heavy lifting of teaching a language is actually done in the app. And as a teacher, you don't really need to do any more than encourage them to use the app consistently and regularly in order for them to be acquiring a language. Really, that heavy lifting is done there. But the fact is that oftentimes some teachers are going to want to vary things up, and they're going to want to have non-screen based activities in class. So what we've created is a list of resources that can really help you do that and have some of that non-screen time in class, or help you do a flipped learning model where they do all of the app work at home as homework, and then you come into class and do the non-app based extra resources. So up to you how you play that, but let's go to the resources page. And so as you're going to see here, that basically the amount of resources is here. It's also located in that story section I told you when you had the pop-up, but here is a way to be able to find them all. You can select by category. I'm going to start off with the guides. These are guides that we've made for each story, and then you can select which story you want the guide for. The stories are organized by location. As I said earlier, the easier locations are the earlier locations, and they then become increasingly more intermediate stories in the later locations. So let's say here that we want to have a look at this guide for this story. These guides for the free teacher dashboard basically describe a lot of activities that are non-screen based that you can do in class. And then what we do is we give you a lot of the materials so you can assemble those activities. So we will give you, for example, you've got the story text in Spanish, and with a magical translation, we're going to give you the story printouts so you can print them out. And then we've got the vocabulary lists that you can also print out and then have the kids cut out in order to do various of the activities, including labeling and various games that are suggested in the teacher guides. The difference between the story text and the vocabulary lists is the vocabulary lists also include the words that they're learning from the interactions. The story text is just what happens at the top with maybe the speech bubbles, but then there's a lot of elements in each page that they can tap. If there's a chair, they would tap the chair. It would say la silla, the chair. So the vocabulary list includes all of that larger vocabulary scope. So that is that's what is available for the free teacher. Oh, there is actually, if you went to games, There is one game right now, Loteria, that's just a printable game, and you can play bingo in class. And there's a second game that comes with a free version that's coming out soon, which is a projectable game. It's Around the World, that fun game everybody loves. So now I'm going to take you to the premium dashboard and have a look at the resources there, because when you upgrade to the premium dashboard, there's a few substantial differences. The first difference we covered earlier, we saw that you can have many active stories, as many as you want per class, not just the one active story. But also, crucially, you can set the kids on each kid, depending on the kid, you can set them per child as a plug and play teaching, which allows the game mechanism to take over. So you don't have to be setting active stories. It just allows them to progress through as the game algorithm determines. And so what they do then in order to progress to the next location is they have to earn a certain number of diamond keys. And that unlocks the discovery chest, which unlocks compasses that are needed to unlock the new location. So it's the game as you would find if you were to buy it, FabuLingua, as a family on the App Store. So it kind of, the game takes over. But as a teacher, crucially, you still have insights into that child's progress the whole way through all the stories. So that's probably the main difference between the premium and the free teacher dashboard, is that you get much more customizable. You can say this kid's ready for plug and play learning. These other kids need various active stories because they're at different levels. Maybe some are heritage speakers, some are not in the class. So it allows you to be much more customizable. And you also get many more resources. So here we are on the resources page of a premium account. And here, for example, let's go select that same story, Fanny Sapi, and here we can see if we select games, we have many more games. We have Loteria, Matamoscas, various Matamoscas, Pañuelito, various Pañuelito games, Serpientes y Escaleras, and then we have a bunch of Google Slide projectable games that are coming soon. We have interpersonal activities, information gap. We have assessment comprehension questions. We have word puzzles. We have crossword puzzles, lots of different crossword puzzles that cover all of the vocab from that story and the interactions in that story. So you want to make sure they do the interactions because they do come up a lot. And then we have lots of word searches. And then we have interpretive activities, sentence strips, and character and noun identifications. And of course, we have the story printouts, which was available in the free version, and the story text again in Spanish and with magical translation. Again, that was available in the free version. Vocab list also was available in the free version. And then we have worksheets like Mad Libs. So, and we're constantly adding more resources to the premium version as teachers tell us other fun games that they would like to see included. The other main difference is assignments. This has not been built yet, but it's in the docket. It's being worked on, where the teacher is going to be able to assign, not just do this story, but go and earn this many keys, go and open this many treasure chests, or collect this many stickers, all of the downstream consequences of learning. And then they have to do the math in order to figure out which stories they have to work on, that they want to work on, etc. So it's kind of like a more fun way of setting assignments. Or you can just do, I want you to do this story, this mode, or this many game, this many times. It's very flexible assignment section. So I think that's pretty much it. I've covered all of it. The one thing I haven't covered is this general students thing. It's much like the other one, except it's for all of your classes together. And so you can invite all the parents together at one time. You can see exactly who has completed more modes, who's won more games, and you kind of have a bigger picture perspective. But that's all. I thank you so much for sitting through this and experiencing where the FabuLingua Teacher Dashboard can take you, so that your kids can really acquire the language subconsciously through stories and through just getting a lot of comprehensible input in a fun, engaging way that is based on stories and the power of stories to teach us languages. Enjoy. We are available every Wednesday for office hours. We would love to hear from you. So any questions, just jump on that. If you just go to the FabuLingua.com teacher section, you go to the PD section, there at the very bottom, you can schedule office hours. Thanks so much for your time. Bye-bye. Adios.